folks. We're in the middle of a heat wave, and I feel like there's no better time than now to show you how to bake bread. Before we begin, you're going to need a fairly large mixing bowl and a decent sized cast iron skillet. And a whisk would help too. So I already have my ingredients for this recipe measured out, and the 4 you see here are the only 4 you really need to complete this recipe. So I have 4 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, 2 heaping teaspoons of yeast. You could also use one of those individual packets. I looked up, it says that's about 2 1/4 teaspoons. So that's why I said heaping teaspoons if you don't want to use the packets. And you also need 2 cups of lukewarm water. Basically what you're looking for is about 100 degrees for the water if you have a thermometer. Your body temperature also works. Just run the water, put your finger under it. If it doesn't feel hot or cold, you're probably at lukewarm and you can use that. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna put the yeast in my mixing bowl. Then I'm gonna pour the lukewarm water in there. I'm going to take my whisk and I'm going to stir it up. Make sure all the yeast is in the water. Then I'm going to let it sit for a little bit, like 5 minutes. Okay, so we're ready to go. We can go ahead and add the salt all at once. And then slowly add the flour in. You want to make sure it's pretty well combined, no huge clumps. Yeah, break up anything. The more you break up, the quicker you're done. The faster the water gets absorbed by the flour. Then you have a ball of dough that you're ready to go with. And the last of it. All the ingredients are combined thoroughly. There are no big chunks of flour. There's no excess water, so we're good to go with what we have there. This is going to sit here for an hour. We're not going to do anything except for wrap it up and go do something else for an hour. If you want, you could preheat your oven right now. It's 95 degrees out. I'm not going to preheat my oven until I'm ready. It's been an hour, and I don't know if you heard the good news, but he is risen. Sometimes you forget to plug in your microphone, and that's alright because you can do a voiceover later. Take your all-purpose flour and sprinkle some on top of a cutting board. Get a spatula and then scrape the dough out of your mixing bowl. Try to get as much of the dough out as you can. Just watch me, I'm getting all of the dough. Such a good job, Ryan. So proud of you. Once all the dough is out, go ahead and get some oil or water. Put it on your hands, and then try to get some of that excess flour onto your hands. This will hopefully prevent the dough from sticking to your hands. No guarantees. I was not successful. You don't need to knead this dough. It's a no-knead dough recipe, so there's no need for kneading. All you need to do is cover the dough with flour. Now that it's all covered with flour, we're going to go ahead and transfer it to our cast iron skillet. Make sure you have a well-oiled cast iron skillet. I'm using a 13.5-inch skillet. The recipe I'm giving you is actually for a 12-inch or a 9-inch skillet. I use a little bit more ingredients. I eyeballed it, but I don't have the exact measurements for it. I looked it up. All of my recipes are Googled. Google is a wonderful source for recipes. All right, so I'm just transferring this over and just spreading the love. Like I said, there was no kneading involved for this, but we're not done yet. We're gonna let this sit for another half hour and let it rise more. Let it rise for about 30 more minutes, covered. I don't have a top for my cast iron skillet. I just use a baking sheet that I have. It works perfectly. You probably use aluminum foil or saran wrap too. I don't know, do whatever you want. So it has been 30 minutes since I put it in the pan, and once again, the bread has rose. Before we put this in the oven, I've seen a few recipes that say, you know, put an X into this. I don't know why. I don't know if it really does anything. It might be like peanut butter cookies when you take a fork and do the crisscross. Maybe it's just like, I don't know why they do that either. I think it's just so you know it's a peanut butter cookie. Maybe this is so you know it's bread. Who knows? I'm also going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top. And I don't have a brush, I'm sorry. I'm just going to kind of dab with a paper towel. After that, the finishing touches before we go into the oven for 30 minutes. Sprinkle some salt on top. And also some rosemary. I know I said you only needed 4 ingredients, and I didn't mention the olive oil, and the rosemary is kind of optional. You should put oil, you should oil your pan, you should drizzle a little oil on top, sprinkle a little salt on it. It's delicious. I mean, you're already using salt. If you don't want to use salt, don't use salt. It's like, do whatever you want. I don't care. Don't make bread. For all I care, don't make bread. I don't know why you're watching this video. Time to go into the oven, and we will see you in 30 minutes. Now that the bread's in the oven, it'll be about a 30-minute bake time. I usually rotate it halfway through, so usually 2 15-minute timers. Don't forget to set a timer. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so check on the bread. Looks good. Golden brown on the top. Gonna grab a toothpick and check it. You just stick it all the way through. Went through pretty easily and came out clean. Really bad lighting there. I don't know if you can see, but clean toothpick. Bread's done. Let it sit for 5 minutes. You can take it out of the pan and cut it. Been 5 minutes. It's cooled off enough. Took it out of the cast iron skillet, and now I will cut it with my serrated knife. Nothing special about this. It's actually even bent. I don't know if you can see that. It's slightly bent. I've had it for many years. It was one of my former roommates. When they moved out, they did not take it with them. I usually cut these into 12 pieces. Quarter it, cut the quarters into 3. 12 pieces, simple division. All right, so it's basically hot out of the oven. It's cooled off a little bit. You gonna taste it? It's good. This is one recipe for bread, and it's pretty simple. It has flour, yeast, water, and salt. I'm going to add some stuff to it at the end. That's optional. You could also add more stuff to it. Just Google recipes. There's all sorts of things you could do with bread. I appreciate you guys watching. So long.